According to Ninja Theory, Hellblade 2 is going to make the first game look like an indie game, and I can't believe we're going to be talking about it, but yes, Scalebound, once again back in the news. Should Microsoft partner up with Platinum to revive this dead and canceled game? Well, I got a lot to say about it, so let's go. What is going on, everybody? This is Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. I hope everybody is having a great day. If you guys can do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that like button. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel, and share this video out to social media. It really helps it out. Thank you guys so much for all the continued support. For the past month, I have made a concerted effort to try to make at least 2 videos a week. And when this week started, I thought to myself, man, I don't know what I'm really going to talk about. The discussion around Xbox and Activision Blizzard has kind of ran its course for now. I'm not really going to talk about it that much more unless we get new information from Phil Spencer or Satya Nadella, or just something that is new, because the speculation surrounding will the deal go through, is it a monopoly, etc, 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 is a little bit tiring for me to talk about, and I'm sure it's probably tiring for you guys to listen to. And the worst part about it, we got about a year, perhaps even longer, for the story to kind of keep on dragging on. But enough about Xbox and Activision Blizzard and the fact that Microsoft's going to destroy the gaming industry because it's a huge monopoly and they're going to raise prices and make terrible games. We're not talking about that today. Today, we're going to be talking about Scalebound, because apparently it's back in the news because PlatinumGames wants to make it again, and I certainly have a lot of things to say about it. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on, because I'm going to talk about something that is actually going to be coming out in a couple years, and it's probably going to be absolutely fantastic, and that is Hellblade 2. Now, we've seen 2 trailers and a vid doc for Hellblade 2. Most recently, the gameplay debuted at the VGAs, and I think potentially we might see more of it this year, because I do think that Hellblade 2 will be launching in 2023 next year. When? Early 2023, mid 2023, end of 2023, I couldn't tell you, but I feel really good about the fact that Hellblade 2 is going to launch next year, and it's going to completely blow Hellblade 1 away. And that's what Ninja Theory's co-founder said in an interview, where he talked about the team's goals with Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which mostly revolves around completely outshining the previous title. In an interview with NME, he said that the team's ambition has taken the form of an all-encompassing approach to the idea of, quote, capturing reality. The goal with Hellblade 2 isn't to perfect it, but to create an experience that feels more believable and more refined. Its ambition in terms of scale is bigger. I think Hellblade 2 will make Hellblade look like an indie game. Over 40 locations in Iceland were scouted and narrowed down before being scanned into Hellblade 2's engine. Real costumes were also created and scanned in, and Melina Juergens, who plays Senua, was trained by a combat expert to perform the in-engine combat herself. Quote, the idea is believability, making things look real or believable, and the best way to do that is to base everything on real things. I don't know about you guys, but when I read this interview, I was filled with the utmost confidence that Hellblade 2 was going to completely outshine Hellblade 1 in almost every way. And that is a huge compliment, considering Hellblade 1 is amazing. I played it twice, once on the PlayStation 4 in 2017, and I played it once again when it came to Xbox in 2018. But Hellblade 1 is a very limited game. As much as I loved Hellblade 1, it was definitely held back by the fact that only 25 people made it on a $10 million budget. At its core, the game was a walking simulator punctuated by puzzle solving and combat scenarios. And the combat, while you engaged in it quite a bit, did get a little stale and repetitive after a while. And the world wasn't really that big. What you only really did was walk from point A to point B. So when I see quotes like the ambition in terms of scale is bigger, and that they're actually kind of digitizing 40 real-world locations and getting real costumes and having the main character actually do the combat itself, and then to hear that Hellblade 2 will make Hellblade look like an indie game, I don't really think that's an insult to indie games. So to me, what he's talking about is that the whole game is going to be bigger and better than the first one. from combat to the world and everything that you essentially do, and you're not going to come away thinking to yourself, damn, this was an excellent game, but it could have been so much better if only the budget was higher. This is my most anticipated game from Xbox Game Studios, and I think we're going to be in for a treat when it launches, I think, in 2023. Now, next up, unfortunately, I have to talk about Scalebound. It definitely seems like this game is never going to die, even though it was canceled basically 4.5 years ago. I just can't escape Scalebound. Every single week when myself and Jez Corden do the Xbox 2 podcast, which, by the way, if you've never checked out the live show, we do it on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes we do it on Saturdays. But every single week we get a question about Scalebound. Should Microsoft bring it back? Should Microsoft give it to Ninja Theory? Should Microsoft give it to Arcane? Should they hire somebody else to do it? All the time. And we keep on saying, let it die. Let it go. Move on from it. It's a failed game. Nothing came out of it. But you know who can't let it go? Definitely some Xbox fans on social media and PlatinumGames themselves, who have appealed directly to Phil Spencer to work on Scalebound once again. So Atashi Iniba and Hideki Kamiya, which I'm sure I said their names wrong, President and Vice President of PlatinumGames, have said they want to talk to Phil Spencer about reviving canceled project Scalebound. In an interview with IGN Japan, both Inaba and Kamiya expressed their desires to revive Scalebound, the action RPG the studio is working on for Microsoft. One of the first ideas Platinum had as a studio, in it you would play and fight as both a human and his dragon partner. Unfortunately, Microsoft announced the cancellation of the project in 2017, roughly 4 years into development. Kamiya, who was the director of the title, has previously blamed the cancellation of Scalebound on his team's inexperience with online games. Microsoft still owns all the rights to the original IP, and as such, PlatinumGames will not be allowed to continue development without its permission and collaboration. As translated by Games Radar Plus, when asked how they feel about Scalebound in the wake of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, producer of the unreleased title, Inaba said, quote, Kamiya is always saying how much he wants to make Scalebound. He's not just saying, if only I had the chance, like it's some fantasy. Kamiya and I really want to make it. That's why we want to get into serious talks with Microsoft. Kamiya backed up the words of Inaba, even making an appeal directly to CEO of Microsoft Gaming Phil Spencer in his native tongue. Quote, we did so much work on Scalebound, and there is no point in Microsoft holding on to it. I want to do something. And switching to English, he finished, Phil, let's do it together. Oh man, this whole thing about Scalebound is certainly interesting because I'm of the opinion that not many people cared about the game originally until it was canceled. Then everybody came out of the woodwork to talk about how it was the one game that they were going to buy an Xbox for and how Microsoft should bring it back. I will die on that hill. However, I am a big fan of PlatinumGames when they actually use their A-team to make stuff. Vanquish is incredible, Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance are essentially masterpieces, and I love Nier Automata. However, Scalebound never really jived with me, and especially in the last showing before it was canceled E3 2016, I thought the game just looked really bad. But I guess there's two scenarios you could look at it here. Should Microsoft re-enter into some sort of negotiation to make the game again? Is Platinum looking at all the money Microsoft has thrown around the gaming industry right now? Buying Bethesda, buying Activision Blizzard, doing those third-party deals with Crystal Dynamics, IO Interactive, Avalanche, and a whole bunch more, they're probably looking at it like, man, we can get that bag from Microsoft because they're in a business of making a whole bunch of games for Game Pass. Maybe we could actually bring Scalebound back. But you would think that would be done behind closed doors and emails and meetings, not directly in the public, because this is going to put pressure on Microsoft and Phil to actually talk about Scalebound publicly again. So it seems like they're trying to get the fans in a frenzy to almost sort of demand Microsoft make a deal with Platinum to do the game again. And even though I'm someone who really enjoys PlatinumGames' work, I don't really think reviving Scalebound is in the best interest of Microsoft. You killed it off for a reason, let it die. With that said, however, there is another scenario that Kamiya might be talking about, and it's the idea of maybe Microsoft selling the IP and the assets back to Platinum so they can make Scalebound on their own. And in return for Microsoft giving them the IP, if they do end up making the game, they can essentially come to an agreement like, hey, if you actually do make the game, it's got to come to Xbox day one on Game Pass and maybe, I don't know, 6 months exclusivity or something. But Microsoft wouldn't be funding it in this scenario. It would all be up to PlatinumGames to do it themselves. And I actually would be behind that 100%. I don't want Microsoft spending their money to bring back Scalebound, but I do like the idea of Microsoft giving the IP back to Kamiya and making the game with some sort of handshake deal about it coming to Game Pass. I think that's something that could be worked out. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Are you excited for Hellblade 2? And do you want Microsoft to work with PlatinumGames on Scalebound in the future? Sound off in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, share this out on social media, hit that notification bell. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the video. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.